All right, good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, November 19th, 2022. It's late. Wow, it's 8:53 p.m. I apologize for being late, but I didn't tell you guys, I'm taking a course. I'm taking like a college finance course, and it was a lot of work today. Totally lost track of time, and I picked my head up, and I was like, wait, it's 8:30. I think I need to be doing something. And I couldn't really understand what I needed to be doing. I'm like, that's right. I got to do the stream. So that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. So allow me a minute. I got to put my laptop away. And then we will get started. So give me 1 second, and then we'll say hello to everybody in the chat. Now, it is Saturday, so we are not going to be having a specific topic as it relates to the financial markets. So for all of those who may be new to Walks on Wall Street, Monday through Friday, we walk around the city, be it New York City or Miami, and we talk about the financial markets. Saturday is our day off, so we'll sort of explore the city, hang out, and then Sunday is our stock market outlook, a look ahead stream, where we'll be covering all of the major events such as earnings, FOMC meetings, anything that happens on Wall Street. We'll give a little bit of a forecast and some commentary. So give me 1 minute and we will get started. Cold night too, man, cold night. Really quick, I just wanted to point this building out. This building is 15 Central Park West. It is one of the most exclusive and quite frankly, it's very, very beautiful building here, Central Park West. So I guess you can technically say we are on the Upper West Side today. This is Central Park, one of my favorite places in the entire city. If we continue to turn to the right, you could see Steinway building, and I think I actually said this before, but we have a viewer on Walks on Wall Street that works for the company who designed the Steinway building, and they're also designing a building in Brickell, Miami. So I think that's going to be pretty cool to see once that materializes. This is 157, one of my favorite buildings on Central Park South, Billionaires Row. And then as always, we have 220 Central Park South. And last but not least, the newest addition to Billionaires Row, Central Park Tower, right behind there. So we're going to be walking down towards Radio City Music Hall tonight. And then we may make our way over to Hudson Yards depending on the time. But let's see who we have in the chat. I see Connie Ruiz is here. Hey, Connie, good to see you. The one and only Solo 401. Power through those last 2 hours at work, Solo. Always a pleasure to see you, my friend. British Grace says happy Saturday evening, Tom. British Grace joining us from Tampa, Florida. Definitely a lot, let's just say a lot warmer over there in Tampa as opposed to the weather here we have in New York. Absolutely freezing, but we're going to power through. Gregory is here, says good evening. Hey, Gregory, good to see you. Sinjib is here. Julia M says, hey, welcome. Video Watchers says greetings from Atlanta, Georgia. Love that. War Walker is here. Daryl, welcome. The one and only Western Mass, Dave, John Silva, Samantha R. We are walking in your neck of the woods. Kevin Ramsey says hello, Tom, from Cincy. Good to see you. XN is here. And Lee says, good evening, Tom. Last weekend or last Saturday, it was like summer. What a difference a week makes. Stay warm. Yeah, I heard you guys had pretty nice weather last weekend in New York City. Now, time flies so fast. Last weekend, I was actually in Miami, Florida. So still adjusting to the temperature, but, you know, I think I'm getting there as the night progresses. This is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. So if you see the middle doors here, that is the hotel. The right side is the residences. So there's actually people who own condominiums, apartments here. Now, something interesting about this building, it also has a 5-star restaurant to the left here. And if you purchase a unit, and I think the same thing goes for, I want to say the JW Marriott Essex House too. I think you could do this. I think if you purchase a unit on the hotel side, wow, that horse is hauling, man. I've never seen the horses go that fast. I think if you purchase a unit on the hotel side, you have the option of renting it out while you're not occupying the unit to sort of offset the cost. Pretty interesting, but the occupancy fees, the management fees are ridiculous. Hey, Michael, good to see you, my friend. You know, I have never ran into Action Kid in New York, but we always run into each other in Florida. Probably because, you know, downtown Miami and Brickell is much, much smaller, obviously, than Manhattan. But I see him all the time in Miami. We connect all the time when we're down there. Wendy England, good to see you. Welcome, Dr. Longis. We are here, Columbus Circle. Sally is here, good to see you. Sally, Dan Zhang, welcome. Golden's Dawn, good to see you. Wow, so Dan Zhang says, Tom, be sure to stay warm. Many people are getting the flu recently. Oh man. You know, I have been sick once this year, but I had like a little bit of a cold. I don't think it was the flu. So I usually, if I'm gonna get sick, I mean, hopefully I never get sick, but if I'm gonna get sick, I like to get sick right before the winter, so it sort of gives me an extra immunity before the crazy temperatures set in. But yeah, I mean, I've been talking to a lot of my coworkers, and they've been saying in the public schools especially, it's like everybody's sick. It's like all the kids, teachers, very, very crazy, very crazy. So here we are, 59th Street, Columbus Circle. Very, very windy here tonight. Extremely windy. Pixelogic says, hey Tom, hope you're having a good weekend. Thank you so much, Pixelogic, I appreciate it. You know, I think what we'll do is we will walk down Central Park South. I don't think we've walked down Central Park South in quite some time on the stream, so I think we'll do that tonight. We'll go all the way over to the one and only Plaza Hotel. We'll check that out. Miss Bash, good to see you. Welcome. William Brooklyn, holy crap. Says I had COVID twice. I got the flu shot. Jeez, man, stay healthy. Please, please stay healthy. You know, I would like to say something, a little bit of, I guess, anecdotal data here. Now, we did last week, or I'd say 2 weeks ago, we got some consumer spending numbers out. And consumers still tend to be, or it seems to be, pretty strong here. But as we've talked about, they are essentially reappropriating where they're spending money. And we sort of got a little bit of a glimpse into this when the major investment banks or credit card issuers reported earnings. Hold that thought. This is the front entrance of the famous 220 Central Park South. And I believe the CEO of Citadel Securities, Ken Griffin, may have a unit here. Beautiful building, by the way. But it seems as if consumers are just reappropriating or shifting where their spending is. And they seem to be spending on services, spending on travel, as opposed to durable goods. Now, I was walking around Manhattan today, pretty much all day, and Midtown Manhattan, I mean, my God, it was so packed, crazy with tourists, right? And you could sort of tell when there's tourists walking around as opposed to locals, right? Because you hear all the different languages that are spoken. You see different people from across the world. So it seems as if there is a ton of holiday travel. And if you remember, really quick, I just want to pause here. This building is one of my favorite buildings here on Central Park South. And this is the New York Athletic Club. I love these arches here. Now in the summer, if you remember when we would do the summer live streams, you would see everybody hanging out here on the weekends, having a good time, having a few drinks. And it looks so amazing. I've never been up there. I've never been inside the New York Athletic Club, but very, very beautiful building. But I remember we were talking about this on the stream and we said, we made a prediction. Well, I made a prediction. And I still firmly believe. Now, could you guys believe that next week is Thanksgiving, already Thursday. Crazy. This year is absolutely ripping by. About a month and a half left, then the year's toast. Kind of crazy to think about. But anyway, getting right to the point here. The prediction that I have is this Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday. I think you can also include in that maybe the New Year's holiday as well. I think it is going to be the most traveled holiday season in the United States. And the reason why I say that is because we recently got some data from Labor Day travel. And the data says this Labor Day, which is essentially the last hurrah of summer, right? Especially in the financial community. You have a lot of the PMs, the money managers, the managing directors coming back into the city, coming back to the office from their vacations in Martha's Vineyard, the Hamptons, you name it, and back to the office. And this year, 2022 was the most traveled Labor Day. And this is sort of like a coincident indicator, right, as we are outside of the JW Marriott Essex House. Beautiful hotel, by the way. Check out the lobby. Very, very classic. Everything is marble, stone. Check out the crown moldings on the ceiling here. Absolutely gorgeous, this hotel. But this is sort of a coincident indicator that is confirming exactly what the major credit card issuers are saying, right? Now, they're saying people want to go out and travel. People want to go out and spend because we've had about a 2-year hiatus. I would assume, now I never want to assume, but I could just tell you in my life, you know, we didn't really have a big Thanksgiving like we usually had the past 2 years, or like we usually had before COVID because of obvious reasons. But I think this is the first year where things are going to get back to normal. People are going to travel. So I don't know. What are you guys seeing in your world? Are you guys seeing that you're probably going to do more holiday travel this year as opposed to 2021 and 2020? Hey, Clarence Jackson says, I own Marriott as well. Very nice. Vinny Castellano is here. Says, good evening, Tom and friends. What's up, Vinny? Good to see you. Mary says, I'm going to shop. Thank you for reminding me. Patrick, New York. Good to see you. Welcome, Patrick. So I'll give you one more shot of the lobby here. Really, really nice. So in the lobby, I think it's on Friday and Saturday. Saturday night, I think it ends at about 8 p.m. Eastern. There's usually live music. There's usually people playing like cellos and other instruments in the lobby here of the JW Marriott Essex House. So if anybody's staying here on the weekends, chances are you'll have some pretty nice music to listen to. Deborah S. is the days passed so fast, it's now snowing. Hey, could you believe what's going on in Buffalo? I think in Buffalo, New York, which is about 6 hours north of here, I think you guys got about 7 feet of snow, right? 70 inches or so, maybe a little bit less. But I don't know. I could never operate in that environment. I don't know how you guys do it. 70 inches of snow. My God. Insane. Susan H. is here. Says, hello, Tom and everybody. You are brave being outside in the cold. Thank you for your talk and walk. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Susanna H. Gary Carpenter is here. Fred X. What's up, man? Good to see you. Trust you well. Peter Webley says, Tom, it's a beautiful 68 degrees here. Oh, man. I'm jealous, dude. I am very, very jealous. Now, I got to New York. I was in Miami for about maybe 2.5 weeks. And I think I flew in, what was it, Thursday? I forget. But when I left my place, right, I think I had about a 4 p.m. flight. I left from Miami International Airport. It was bright sunshine, 80 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. And then we land at JFK. And that was the day in New York we had that huge rainstorm. So it was just like a crazy, crazy temperature change. I know, Golden's Dawn is like way too much snow with those people. Peyton Lobster says here it's about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Check out this dog here, beautiful. So I think I told you guys before, but we do have a lot of new people here on Walks from Wall Street. This actually was my old building right here. So 106 Central Park South. Very, very lucky to be able to live in this building when I did. And I'll tell the story again. I think I've told you guys a million times, but I got a really, really good deal in this building right here at Central Park South. So you walk out, you're right here at Central Park, because this was when we had a mini flash crash in real estate, both on the sales side and in the rental market during COVID. So if you remember, everybody during COVID-19 just wanted out. I mean, they were, panic selling their real estate. They were dropping their rents. Some people were offering about 2 to 3 months free and no broker's fee. So there was a really, really nice place right here. And it was crazy. It actually had a view of Central Park. It was a studio apartment, but it was for just under, I think, $2,100. Now, to many of you, you're like, oh, that's crazy expensive for a studio, which it is. But in normal times, a studio apartment on Central Park South is probably going to run you over $3,000, maybe over $3,500. It was a pretty good deal. Now, when I moved out, when did I move out? I think last year. I actually had the option to renew the lease for another year at only $100 difference. But that is when I acquired the property in Miami, and I think they re-rented it for like $4,200 or $4,300. Really wild stuff, crazy stuff. This is 6th Avenue. If you look all the way downtown, you could actually see the One World Trade Center, which I know is Solo 401's favorite building here in New York. D is here, says, hey Tom from Iowa, it's 23 degrees listening to you and Jazz from Small Jazz Club. Have you been there? Looks like a cool place if I ever get to New York City. I have not been there. So from Small Jazz Club, I'm not sure. I do not think I've been. FredX, it's like Tom acknowledged the dog drink. This hotel right here, Ritz-Carlton, very, very expensive hotel. One of the few 5-star hotels here in the vicinity. And just for kicks, just to do some impromptu market research, I was actually looking at some of the rates for the rooms. It's, let's say, the Ritz-Carlton, the Peninsula Hotel, and also Trump International Hotel and Tower. Now, the cheapest room, the cheapest room that I could find for the higher, I would say, luxury market, you think about the Park Hyatts of the world, which is actually down here and to the right, is in the 157 building. The cheapest room that I could find was about $850 a night, which is really, really bizarre and really, really crazy for one night. So it seems as if tourism is going strong. It seems like demand is going really, really strong as well. Now, again, I said, as I was walking around the city today, it was absolutely packed. So packed with tourists, people shopping, like these folks here. Sinjib says, hey Tom, how was your day? Day was pretty good. I spent the majority of it, I'm taking a class, so I had to submit some homework by a deadline, which I just made, by the way, barely. John Solar says, I think you can rent by the hour on the cheaper hotels here. Just kidding. It's interesting you mentioned that, John. So I'm not sure if anybody's heard of this. There's actually an interesting startup in Midtown where you can rent sort of like sleeping quarters or beds by the hour. So for business people that want to take a nap, I forget what it's called, but if you Google it, if you just Google take a nap in New York City, it'll pull up the company. And I think the building is actually located on 43rd Street and 7th. Right on the corner there, but you could actually book rooms by the hour to take a nap. It's kind of weird. Looking all the way down here, everybody, you can see the Deutsche Bank Towers, formerly known as the Time Warner Centers here. Now, in the right side of the tower, the right side of the Deutsche Bank Tower, actually sits the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which is another 5-star hotel here in New York City. Now, if you remember from our Miami live streams, if you walk across that bridge, that usually doesn't have good cell service, but it has improved. You'll see the Mandarin Oriental Miami, which is on Brickell Key, which is also a fantastic location, by the way. Extremely good views for anybody that's interested in going to Miami. And here we have the Park Lane Hotel, which was just recently fully gut renovated during the pandemic. Looks beautiful here. Golden's Dawn says that's weird, nap rooms. Yeah, I thought the same thing, but I mean, thinking about it, right? There's a lot of international business travel in New York. And let's say if you're on a red-eye flight, you have a couple meetings and you're really, really exhausted. I think I would probably pay, maybe $40 for the hour to take a nap somewhere. I don't think it's the worst idea. Who knows? Western Mass Dave is like, Tom is so engaging. I just missed the entire tornado scene. Zach Wolf says booking rooms by the hour. I think people are doing more than just napping there. No, I definitely pick up what you're putting down, but it's the startup. I just forget the name of the startup, but it's actually for that, right? There's extreme vetting. They have corporate partnerships with like a lot of the consulting firms, but I definitely understand sort of what you're getting at. Vivian says happy weekend, everybody. Good to see you, Vivian. Welcome. Mimi says, I just see the capsule break rooms stations in Japan. So they also have those in airports, like major airports. Has anybody seen that? I think in London they have that, where you could take naps in the actual airport. Zozo Bob, good to see you, my friend. Welcome. All right, team. We have now officially reached the end of Central Park South. This is the corner of Central Park South, 59th Street and 5th Avenue. Now, this is the beautiful, the one, the only Plaza Hotel and Residences. So on the side here, you'll notice these gorgeous marble, brick, and red carpet stairs. This is actually to the residences. So people could actually own condominiums, own apartments in this building. And if you notice, you see a lot of the very, very upscale type cars here that are parked outside. But if you want to go to the entrance of the hotel, you're going to have to walk directly ahead and then make a right. And hopefully, if the scaffolding isn't covering the entire thing, we'll actually be able to see a little bit into the lobby, which should be interesting, because on previous live streams, we were able to see a lot of the chandeliers, which were very, very beautiful here. Just Barry is here. So Saturday night greetings, Tom. Good to see you, Just Barry. Welcome. Smee Media says hello, Tom, and hello, everybody. Good to see you, Smee Media. Always a pleasure. So this is the Apple Store, the flagship 5th Avenue Apple Store. Now, on the live stream this week, we talked about, briefly again, we did a quick recap, additionally, of Apple's earnings report. Now, I think the big standout from that report is all of this dollar volatility, right? So if you look at the Dixie, we have since come down. But during Apple's Q3 earnings report, one of the biggest, I would say, issues with that report is there was about a 600 basis point hit to revenues due to the strong US dollar. So even though Apple posted strong revenue results, right, growing 8% year over year on a per annum basis, they would have had a double-digit revenue growth quarter if it wasn't for the strong dollar. Wow, check this out. So this is the main entrance to the Plaza Hotel. So again, remember, the front-facing side of Central Park South is where you have the residences, and then here is where you have the actual hotel. Maybe there's some sort of event going on here because it says registered hotel guest and patrons only, and everything is sort of blocked off here. But this is also another expensive hotel. Anybody know how much an average room goes for here? Now, I was looking on Kayak today, and the cheapest room that I saw from the Plaza tonight, if you want to stay there tonight, was about $1,100. Now, for one night, it's a little steep. So this is the main ballroom. Check out these chandeliers and the crown moldings here. Absolutely fantastic. FedEx is $1 million. Golden's Dawn is like, Tom, your hands must be freezing. They are, but I try not to think about it. And once they go numb, I think we'll be good. MY says, what does a strong dollar mean? Well, a strong dollar means based on a relative basis against a basket of other foreign currencies, right? So if you think about other currencies, right? If you take the pound or the Japanese yen, right now, the dollar is very, very strong for a multiple of reasons, right? I think you're seeing a global flight to safety to US dollars in a very, very, I would say, uncertain environment, especially with, the war that's going on in Ukraine and Russia. It seems like the United States is always the safe haven here. Oh, they finally put up the, what's it called? The candy canes here. I think I'm going to put my hood up because my ears are starting to fall off. Hey, Matt says, hello, Tom, and everybody. Enjoy your Saturday. It must be in New York City. It's very cold in Atlanta. Yeah, it's cold here, too. Now, the good thing about New York, though, right now, I'm talking about New York City, we don't have any snow, thank God. Now, we can't say the same thing for the upstate New Yorkers in Buffalo. I mean, they got hammered with about 70 inches of snow. Check this out. I think they did a really, really good job with all the decorations here. Ross is here, says, hey, Tom, I read a while back that the Roosevelt Hotel near Grand Central closed during the pandemic. The revolving door there was once involved in helping me get a taxi. Wow. I'm not too sure. Maybe we'll have to walk by it tonight. Now, there were a lot of hotels that closed all but temporarily during the pandemic. I think the most famous and most notable one that did close down during the pandemic but now is open again is the flagship Hilton Hotel. Also, the Park Lane Hotel closed down for a little bit, but they used that time to do a complete gut renovation. Ryan Beck is here. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you. Nakos, this looks awesome. I'll give you guys a shot of the top of the Plaza Hotel. Dominic Romano says, hey, Tom. Welcome, Dominic. Always a pleasure to see you. We got Vivian checking in. Welcome, Vivian. All right, so now we are coming up on 5th. And usually if we walk down 5th, probably about halfway, you're going to see some really, really nice stuff. Really, really nice windows here. This is the Bergdorf Goodman. Very unique windows here. Western Mass Dave says, Tom, are you with family this Thanksgiving? I am. So I will be in New York City, or New York, throughout the holiday season. Hanging out with the family, which should be good. What about you, Dave? You spending it with the family? Quek12 says, Elon made Twitter great again. Now, it's interesting because supposedly Twitter right now is running with a skeleton crew, for lack of a better terminology, but it seems like things are running fine. And here's my concern. Now, I do want to just quickly put in my 2 cents on maybe a little bit of a prediction that I have. If, again, and keyword if, Elon Musk and team at Twitter can prove that Twitter can run operationally and functionally with about a third of the staff, right? Now, if that is the case, what do you think is going to be the reaction from all of the other major tech companies out there? Well, if I'm Apple or I'm Alphabet, Google, if I'm even Meta, if I'm Mark Zuckerberg, and I see a major player like Twitter that went from 7,500 employees now all the way down to I think less than 1,000. And here's the caveat. If I see them operating efficiently, there's no bugs in, the user interface doesn't decline, the user experience doesn't decline. What do you think those companies are going to say to themselves? They're probably going to be looking at corporate bloat. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the stream. And I said that usually if we look at just a credit cycle, right? Now, I won't go and really explain what a credit cycle is tonight, but when you think about monetary policy and how the Federal Reserve sets interest rates, right, or sets the tone of monetary policy, this is the Louis Vuitton building here. Well, over the past 14 years, money or debt has been extremely cheap. So interest rates have been extremely low. I mean, the Fed funds rate was lowered to zero, essentially, during the COVID pandemic. And essentially what this allows corporations to do is to acquire debt, to fund their operations, to hire more people. And during those times, they're able to do that because essentially factoring in inflation, the money is free. However, once the punch bowl gets removed and you have interest rates starting to go up, well, that debt is increasingly harder to service, right? Because money gets more expensive. So when you have prolonged periods of time throughout an economy or a credit cycle where money is extremely cheap, it encourages people to take on risk, and in so doing so, it tends to create a lot of corporate bloat. So I'll give you guys a quick video that I would suggest, and I think I may have suggested this before. Really quick, I'll show you guys. This is the Trump Tower building here on 5th Avenue. Now, if you pull up an additional web page, I want you to type in Carl Icahn fires an entire floor of people in New York City. And it should come up with the video that I'm talking about. Now, I think this was a couple years ago. This may have been, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Billionaire investor Carl Icahn did an interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin, okay? So CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin. And he was telling Andrew Ross Sorkin a story about how back in the day when he acquired a railroad company or a rail car company, he went into the offices here in Manhattan and he just could not understand what all these people were doing. So Carl Icahn hires consultants, right? All the big consultants like the Deloittes of the world, the McKinseys. And he's like, listen, tell me what these people do all day. Long story short, I'll cut to the chase. I think I've told this story before, but we have some new people here, so I'll tell it again. I'll cut to the chase. So the consultants come back to Carl Icahn and they say, Mr. Icahn, you've been very frank with us. You've been very nice. You paid us the $250,000 for our consultancy fee, like we had asked. And we're going to shoot it straight with you, Mr. Icahn, and we're going to tell you, we have no idea what these people do either. So right then and there, Carl Icahn fired an entire floor. I think it was like 3 floors of people in this office building. And he turns to Andrew Ross Sorkin and he says, once I did that, he's like, it was crazy. It was like these people never even existed. I didn't get one phone call. I didn't get one customer service complaint saying, hey, I'm getting no customer support. Or it's like these people never existed. So not to say that that's the situation at all companies. All I'm saying is that it tends to happen increasingly so when you're coming off a major credit cycle, when debt is extremely cheap, right? And corporations naturally experience a lot of bloat So as the Fed, right, is going to adjust market rates, and as the US slips into recession here, companies and organizations are going to look to trim a lot of fat. A lot of it. Dr. Longest, good to see you. Oh, is that true? It says I might join Twitter just to see what Trump says. Did they reinstate? I don't think they reinstated his account. I think it's still banned, isn't it? Anybody in the chat a big watch guy? I'm not really a watch guy. I don't have any watches. Yeah, Mike C. Says the 80-20 principle is usually true. What is that? The Pareto principle? So 20% of the people produce 80% of the results. I guess it's the same thing in sales, right? Now, I've been in tech sales for my entire career, right? Software sales. And when you look at the leaderboard, oh, real quick, this is the Peninsula Hotel. Very expensive hotel, but very beautiful hotel. When you look at the leaderboards, you'll always see a few salespeople producing the majority of the results. So it's exactly what Mike said. Usually you have about 20% of people producing the lion's share of the results of the company. Hey, Ryan Royal says, I only have the Apple Watch. Ryan, any feedback on that? Because I was thinking about buying an Apple Watch, but the thing with me, I'm horrible with losing stuff. So I feel like I would lose it, but I think I would want to maybe get an Apple Watch to track my miles, check on my heart rate, things like that. So any feedback there on the Apple Watch? Do you like it? Hey, Jenny says, I'm cruising around New York. Love that. Welcome to New York. Gina Thomas says, I don't know why you want to listen to a trader. Smee Media says, if Twitter gets hacked majorly, the gambit will have failed. Yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen. Yeah, I mean, Smee Media, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, right? It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Is it possible for Twitter to run on this skeleton crew? Can they pull it off? I don't know. Now, here's what I think. And I think I've said this before. This is sort of the last thing I'll say about the whole Twitter debacle. Usually what happens, right, when you go through a big merger, and I actually used to work at a company where we went through a big merger and acquisition. And it's not easy. It's not easy because the biggest, I would say, issue that crushes companies or that makes these mergers fail is incongruencies in corporate culture. Does that make sense? So I think I use this analogy that you could be the best salesperson, or you could be the best engineer in general. I use the terminology salesperson because that's how sort of I can relate. But you could be the best employee ever, right? But if you're working for a boss that you just physically can't stand, I mean, you just walk into the room, you see your boss's face, and you just can't stand them. You get sick just thinking about the guy or the girl. Even if you're the best performer ever, you're just not going to perform, and you're going to bring the organization down. And I think that's what's happening in Twitter's sense. And I'm not saying it's justified or it's not justified. All I'm saying is that the people, it seems like the majority of people at Twitter do not want to work under Elon Musk, right? Being that the vast majority of the company is now gone. However, there are a lot of talented people in this world who probably do want to work for Elon Musk. So you're going to have to build your org around your key star player, which is Elon Musk, right? It's sort of like the same thing. Like, Tom Brady, he's the star player. You build your team around that key guy. So assuming all of those Twitter employees stayed, yeah, Twitter would have crashed and burned. So it's going to be interesting to see if they could pull it off by building an entirely new team from the ground up. We'll see. I don't know. Millie Vanilli, good to see you, my friend. William Travis, Trump 2024, what do you think? So I know that Donald Trump announced that he is going to run for president. So the moment he did that, and I think I talked about this on the stream before, I immediately went to my Twitter page and muted all keywords such as election 2024, Trump 2024, Biden 2024, because you are going to have an environment that we're going to go into where it is going to waste the hell out of your time. So for the next 12 to, I would say, 18 months, it is going to be a nonstop barrage of baiting tactics to get people to fight on Twitter with people you don't even know and people you don't even care about. So I refuse to sort of take part in that discussion. And I don't like when people waste my time. I don't want to waste people's time. And I think the worst use of our time is to debate politics with people we don't even know and potentially robots or bots on social media. So if you want to be extremely, extremely productive in 2023, you got to get out of debating people on politics on social media. It's going to crush all your time. It's going to suck all your time out of you. And it's going to get you upset for no reason. All right? You got to be focused, laser focused on driving growth and success for yourself. All right? The political nonsense is noise. Don't get wrapped up in these crazies. Okay? And just focus on you. So I muted all these keywords. So I don't even see any of this nonsense now on my Twitter feed, which is good. And again, I just want to quickly make a clarification. This is just what works for me, right? I think you guys know where I sit politically, right? I tend to lean conservative, but I have the utmost full-on respect for anybody on any political spectrum, and I accept the results of all the elections, okay? If I vote one way and it doesn't go my way, I say, that sucks, back to work, okay? And that's how it should be. So I totally and fully respect both sides. I just don't want to waste my time arguing with people. Wow, check this out. The Cartier building looks really, really nice. The Bandit says, I deleted Twitter. I feel better and I feel more productive now. I'm not a mindless consumer and I also sleep better. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way too. But the reason why I use Twitter is because you'd be surprised. I've actually acquired a ton of deal flow from Twitter. There are some very, very prominent portfolio managers on Wall Street that are on Twitter and that share a lot of their equity research. There's a lot of big real estate investors on Twitter and also a lot of enterprise sales guys and girls on Twitter. And I've actually closed big deals through Twitter, surprisingly. There's a ton. I think Twitter is the only platform where you have very, very niche sort of sectors of Twitter. Right now, I think Facebook is totally lost, and I don't think it could ever recover because Facebook it allows long form essays, and that allows for, people just to spew random garbage. But if you're restricted to, 180 characters, you have to make sure what you're saying is very, very concise and you're not wasting anybody's time. And I think that's why it attracts a lot of top performers on Wall Street and Silicon Valley to share ideas, because you got to cut right to the chase. So I don't know. I really like Twitter. Look, if it goes down and it burns in flames, hey, I mean, we had a good run at it, but I have a feeling that Twitter is going to come out of this much better where it started, in my view. But if you want to connect with us on Twitter, you can follow @WalksWallStreet on Twitter. But more importantly than Twitter, everybody, we have the beautiful St. Patrick's Cathedral here. It's looking fantastic on the corner of 51st Street and 5th Avenue. Absolutely gorgeous here. Hey, Jay Peaks says, Tom, Twitter is the quickest way to get breaking news. That's true. Twitter does have... it's a very good distribution channel for sure. All right, team, check this out. This is a bang-on accurate view of the Cartier building. Fantastic looking. Julie M says, Tom, have you participated in the Twitter Spaces? Some really good stuff. Yeah, so if anybody follows Akram's Razor on Twitter, I'm usually very active. You'll probably catch me and you'll hear me speak on his Twitter Spaces a lot. And I'm thinking about maybe hosting our own Walks on Wall Street Twitter Spaces. I think that'd be fun. Because, I mean, the live stream is awesome and all, but I know I talk to you guys, but I'm just reading your comments, and I think it'd be kind of cool just to have like a dialogue. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Western Mass Dave says, love the gold and red. I think they did a really good job. I think they did a really, really good job here. Hey, Philly is here. Says, I don't know anybody around my age who has Facebook under 30. You know, we had that conversation when Meta posted their earnings report. Now, I will say this. We did I would say, an impromptu poll on the Walks on Wall Street, all the chatters. And it seems as if individuals still use Facebook, but for only one key reason, which is to stay connected with, you know, maybe extended family members or something like that. But I think besides that, you're pretty much correct. I mean, I deleted my Facebook account. Nobody really, you know, I would say in mid-20s uses Facebook to that extent. But I think a lot of other people do use it to maybe stay connected with like extended family, or maybe people that they went to college with, something like that. But I think LinkedIn is increasingly encroaching on that use case, right? Hey, DeLargo, what's up? Here's my Twitter friend. This is still standing on 1K days for BTC all-time high. So it usually takes, for the cycle, it's usually about 1,000-day, I don't know, I think I posted it on my Twitter somewhere, but it's usually about that long for a bear market for it to correct. And I think we may have a little bit lower to go. Blue Crew is here, says, hey Tom, back after a while away. Blue Crew, good to see you, my friend. Welcome to New York on this very frigid day, but it's a beautiful night out. It's not too windy. Good to see you, Blue Crew. I know, Gregory's like, LinkedIn is becoming like a Facebook, though I'm not a fan. Yeah, I've noticed there's a lot of, I would say, cringeworthy posts now on LinkedIn, like a lot of like corporate nonsense. Now, I think for anybody on the stream who works in corporate America, I really don't think I need to describe what I'm talking about, right? When I say corporate nonsense, everybody's probably looking at their TV screen or wherever you're watching this live stream, you'll be like, yep, exactly, all the corporate hierarchy nonsense. And that's sort of what's being shilled on LinkedIn, which is one of the reasons why I try to stay off of it. But if you're in sales, you kind of have to have LinkedIn, right? Because you're messaging prospects, you're trying to set appointments. So it is definitely a good prospecting tool. LinkedIn Navigator, I'm not sure if anybody uses that. Anybody in the chat use LinkedIn Navigator for prospecting for clients? Anyway, hey, we have the FDNY in the chat, the Papa Smurf OG. This is Wednesday, November 28th. The Christmas tree lighting at Rockefeller Center starting at 8 p.m. Hey, OG, good to see you, my friend. Stay safe out here, and tell all the others at the firehouse I said have a very, very happy holidays, my friend. Thank you for being here. We are now looking at Saks Fifth Avenue. I had no idea that they were going to start the light show this early, but I know Dr. Longus says I couldn't get over how crazy people got on Twitter. It's so true. Walking Minnesota says I'm on LinkedIn, but it's just so insincere. Yeah, exactly. It's like the corporate nonsense and a lot of stories. I mean, not to dump on LinkedIn. I don't want to trash LinkedIn too much, but I'll say one more thing. You know when you read a LinkedIn post and you're like, yeah, that, like, there's 100% probability that that never happened. Those are pretty much all the LinkedIn posts. Like, it's some recruiter saying, hey, somebody came to me in distress. Nobody would give them a shot, but I actually gave them a shot and they became the top performer in the company. And now they're a CEO at this organization. I'm like, yeah, there's probably about 100% probability that that never happened. But anyway, Deep Value Alex says, hey, Tom, do I think Elon brought investors in for Twitter? Well, yeah, I mean, he definitely had to raise a lot of money, right? Now, here's an interesting thing about that, Deep Value Alex. Oh, wait, hold that thought. Well, I'll show you guys this. Wow, this is the first time I'm seeing it too. All right, we'll walk around the other side. Did a pretty good job. So Deep Value Alex. So here's something that, in relation to the Twitter deal, that is a bit concerning. Now, everybody knows that Elon Musk acquired Twitter at a ridiculous valuation. Crazy valuation. So much so that he tried to back out of the deal, right? Because if you remember, he made the offer, pretty much top ticked it at the top of the market, right? So he tried everything he could to back out of the deal. So a lot of the banks who provided the financing for that, who are holding that debt, these banks, usually what happens in these scenarios, in these leverage buyout scenarios, is these banks don't hold that debt, most cases, on their balance sheet, right? They usually sell it off to investors. Now, here's the problem. That debt is trading at a significant discount. So if these banks were to sell that debt now, they would take substantial losses. So these banks are deciding to shore this junk. I shouldn't say junk, but to shore this stuff on their balance sheets until the market recovers, which is a pretty big risk because there's no guarantee that it will recover. But I think that's just something important to note because that did come out of this earnings season too. But now, supposedly Larry Ellison contacted Elon Musk and wanted to get in on the Twitter deal too. I think I read somewhere. Team, we are right here at the beautiful Rockefeller Center skating rink. And right here is where they do the Christmas tree lighting. Walking Minnesota says, what do you think Twitter would be trading at without the Elon deal? Well, it's a private company now, right? So it's not publicly traded now. So I guess to give some perspective on that, let's talk about Carl Icahn. It's kind of interesting that it comes up again because we talked about how Carl Icahn fired about a couple floors full of people when he was a corporate raider in his corporate raiding days. Now, Carl Icahn did something very beneficial to his company, something that's called merger arbitrage. Okay, merger arbitrage. So Carl Icahn and company essentially made a bet that Elon Musk would not be able to pull out of the Twitter deal, which means that his bet was that Elon Musk would have to acquire the company at originally agreed upon terms. So on the news that Elon Musk wanted to pull out of the deal, the stock cratered, I think almost 30% in 2 days. So Carl Icahn actually slowly accumulated a monster position in Twitter. And when the news broke that by law, Elon Musk would be forced to acquire Twitter at the originally agreed upon price, the stock went all the way back to the agreed upon acquisition price, and Carl Icahn netted his firm, I think, about $500 million. So fantastic piece of merger arbitrage. I think it's a pretty good example there. But if it wasn't acquired, I think it would be trading right around where Carl Icahn acquired it. All right, so this is the ice rink. You have the very famous statue there. Gina Thomas is here, welcome. Congratulations on that. I thought for a moment you were going to join us down there in Miami, Florida. You'll have to fill me in on that. Perry Wilk says, hey Tom, what's up Perry? Good to see you. Hey, we got Golf Endeavor here. Golf Endeavor, long time no see, my friend. You know, I've been actually getting out golfing more now that I've been spending some time in Miami. So I'll give you a quick recommendation as we're looking at the Saks Fifth Avenue light show here. I know you're a huge golfer. If you're ever in the Miami, Florida, Miami-Dade market, you got to go golfing at the Normandy Shores or Normandy Isles Golf Club. It is crazy, crazy course. You're going to love it. And also when the weather gets better, you got to go out to Bethpage and play the Bethpage Black course. And that is fantastic as well. All right, I'll give you guys one last look of Rockefeller Center, 30 Rock, and then we will make our way downtown, hopefully towards the Hudson Yards where we were yesterday. Yeah, Pixel Logic, that's a good point. He says one way of eliminating a lot of the nonsense on Twitter is to force everybody to post their real names. Well, I think that was in discussion once, right? And then I guess that's where it plays into the free speech thing, I guess. Hey, Teresa Diaz, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Very, very kind. Appreciate it. Irish Dylan, welcome. Sam Oliver, I can't say I do. I can't say I do. Dusty Cole, good to see you, my friend. Okay, we'll walk up the stairs, we'll make a left. You know, I'm gonna be interested to see how long the line is on Adele's Famous. Any wagers? I think it's gonna be all the way down to the end of the block. On a night like tonight, crazy amount of people. DA is here, says, hey Tom, good to see you, DA. Thanks for being here. Billy says, Tom, if you're a San Diego resident, you could play Torrey Pines for about $50. Wow. That's awesome. So I've been to Bethpage. I've played Bethpage. Again, I'm a horrible golfer. You probably couldn't get a worse golfer than me. But I'm trying to make a point to get better at it because there's a lot of deals that are done on the golf course, and I think it's like a good social thing maybe to get good at. Again, horrible golfer, but you know, I think if I play maybe, you know, over the summer once a week, which is a lot, maybe I'll get better. Who knows? R2D2 is here, says, hey Tom, what's up my friend? Destructionist is here, good to see you. MKS says, this holiday season New York City may be very crowded. Yeah, I mean, MKS, I agree. Now, we were talking at the beginning of the live stream sort of about holiday travel. So my prediction still stands that I think this Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday in the United States will be the most traveled holiday season in history. And again, the reason why I say that is because we got data from Labor Day. In the United States, this Labor Day was the most traveled Labor Day on record. I think it's sort of the magic elixir, right? We're coming off the pandemic, 2 years and no travel, everybody wants to travel. You know, I guess I'll ask you guys, because I want to talk about the Fed a little bit. I know we don't have a topic on Saturday, but I gotta let you guys in on something I'm watching. But out of everybody in the chat, I think it would be interesting to see how many people plan on traveling this holiday season. So for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. And if you are, is this the first time in 2 years that you're traveling? Because obviously with the pandemic, you know, maybe if you didn't really want to visit your elders or your grandparents in fear of getting sick, but I think that fear is pretty much gone this year. And I think a lot of people are going to get out there and travel. Brad's Brain says, Tom, take lessons. I'm telling you, when you play with folks who can adjust your game, you'll be amazed. All right, I think I'll take that advice, my friend. Monkey says, I'm working too much to travel. Jamie says, Tom, are you still required the vaccine if traveling from the United Kingdom? I am not sure about that. I don't want to give a definitive answer because I'm really not well read on that. Faith says, cruising out to Fort Lauderdale for New Year's. Wow, awesome. You're going to love it. Mimi says, I will be in San Diego. Love that. Harry, no trick. I travel 4 times in the next 3 months. That hasn't happened. It was interesting because on the airlines, when they reported earnings, it used to be the day where everybody comes into the office. Now, the other days, it's pretty dead. I mean, excuse me, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Mondays, it's dead. Fridays, it's dead, as it relates. Cayenne Pacific. Yeah, I think there's more people out than usual. So we may be in a little bit of a buffer zone. It should be good now. We'll see. Hey, Bagels and Walks, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, let's try to escape all the crowds. I'm not a big crowds kind of guy. So we'll try to escape all the craziness going on. You know, it appears that the line on Adele's is not too bad, actually. Hey, Brad's Brain says, Tom, I'm hitting Houston week before Christmas, but it's for other reasons, family. Check out the new office, very nice. Love that, Brad. So, Brad, I forgot, are you going to be renting or did you buy a place in Houston? I forget. Gina Thomas says, Tom, have you been to Topgolf in Doral? I don't think so. I haven't been to Topgolf. You know, the only time I've been to Topgolf was like a corporate thing, which was in Atlantic City, New Jersey. But no, I haven't been to the one in Southern Florida, no. So last night on the live stream, we actually saw them putting up these Christmas decorations. Looks really good. Matt says, Tom, you're probably a better golfer than Charles Barkley. Funny. Okay, so Brad says, I'm not decided actually, but I'm 80-20 towards renting for a year and then buying. Yeah, I think that's probably a good plan, right? I think I would rent first because I think we're gonna have a pretty nice drop in real estate prices. Oh yeah, so that's what I wanted to briefly mention today. Now, we will be talking about this tomorrow for the Markets a Look Ahead stream. But this week we heard from a lot of Fed presidents. And I forget which Fed president. It may have been Fed President Brainerd, Bullard. I forget which one. But it was a really, really interesting and telling comment that he made. And I forget the exact Fed president. I forget who exactly it was. But essentially, he said that due to the fact that the market is anticipating a pause in monetary policy, or a pause in the rate at which rates are increasing, probably means that there's a lot more to go as it relates to rates going up, which I think makes a lot of sense, right? You know, it seems as if you turn on any of the main financial channels, right? The mainstream financial channels, by far, what everybody talks about and focuses on is, oh, we're going to get a pivot. We're going to get a pivot. Look at the forward-looking inflation data. We need a pivot right now. And it just sort of brings back those quote-unquote animal spirits, I guess. And if everybody's looking for that to happen, it probably won't happen. So I think I'm going to stick with my, I would say, biasy that we're going to continue to have, well, I'll say it like this. Even if we get a 50 basis point rate hike in December, less than the 4 consecutive 75 basis points that we've gotten, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, if he said it once, he said it 1,000 times. He said we're going to have to keep rates elevated for longer than we even expected or forecasted in 2022. So I think people are not really ready for that. And I don't think corporates in general are ready for that, right? If we think back to the Wall Street Journal report, you know, over the course of the past 14 years, corporates took on $1 trillion worth of debt. And now that rates are going up, they now have to come up with some $200 billion extra in 2022 and 2023 to service that debt. And I think there's only a handful of companies that will be able to actually do that, right? We've been talking about a lot of these zombie companies, if you will. So that is a major concern for me, especially that I think we're going to get a pretty significant haircut in forward earnings going into 2023. All right, let's see where we are now. This is 7th. You know, maybe we'll continue to cut over. Usually I don't like walking down 8th Avenue. You know the saying, nothing good happens on 8th Avenue. So, maybe we'll risk it tonight. We'll see. Hey, Austin City Limits says, I hope not, Tom. It's been a long bear. Yeah, I mean, historically, the bear is getting pretty long in the tooth, but I think what we may enter into is sort of what Stanley Druckenmiller has been forecasting, which is we could get a sideways choppy market for maybe 3 to 5 years, sort of like what we had in the 70s for a prolonged period of time. But that doesn't mean we don't have very significant rallies that we could capitalize on the volatility throughout that time. And that usually happens in a period during stagflation, when you have inflation cranking, all the while you have corporate earnings stagnant, GDP growth stagnant or contracting. Dusty Cole, good to see you. Edwards says 8th Avenue around Port Authority is a cesspool. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to describe it, 100%. Melissa White says, just tuning in, I'm late. Good to see you, Melissa. Always a pleasure. Fred X, welcome. Kim Grant, I appreciate that. Michael Joseph says it was Bullard, and he said the Fed hasn't even made a dent in inflation with rates yet. Not good for the market. I agree. And, I think I've said this before, but it's almost as if some people on Wall Street, it's like we're not even looking at the same data. Now, I get it. I understand that you are seeing a deceleration in the inflationary trend, but the main things that impact everyday Americans, such as shelter costs, food, shelter actually accelerated in cost. So I think the main thing, I think the Fed is going to look at this and essentially do what they said, right? I don't know how they could telegraph this even more. Rates are going higher. I think rates are going higher. So they're going to look and say the main categories that impact American consumers the most, we're not seeing success. We have to hike rates even more, which doesn't even guarantee that it will solve for inflation, right? I mean, if the Fed was really serious about killing inflation, we would be focused on shrinking and contracting the money supply. So if you look all the way down, you will see Times Square. And this is actually where they drop the New Year's Eve ball to ring in the new year. And this is the very famous Junior's Cheesecake place here. Golf endeavors, says Tom. Will you spend Christmas in New York City? I will. So I'll be here for the holidays, right? I'll just be hanging out with family, things like that. You know what? I guess I'll leave it up to you guys. Should we continue head down here and then head down to Hudson Yards, or should we head back to Fifth Avenue? I'll leave it up to you guys. Hey, Robert is here. Good to see you. Michael Joseph says, Tom, stagflation in the 70s was pretty brutal. Mortgages hit 15%. High unemployment not under control. Only bright spot was good return for yield on bonds. Yeah, it's a good point. Austin City Limits is Tom. Are you going to stream on Thanksgiving? Maybe. I give it about a 50-50 up in the air shot. Okay, everybody's saying back to Fifth. CT, what's up? This is Tom. Restaurant recommendation for you. Tavola on 9th and 36th. All right, let me take a screenshot of that. Give me a minute. All right, I just took a screenshot and I will go. I promise you that. I'm getting a mixed bag in the chat. So yeah, I think the final destination is Hudson Yards. But what I was thinking is maybe we go to 8th Avenue and then make a left and go down. Or we could go to 5th Avenue and then make a right and go down. It's up to you guys. We'll see. Destructionist, I'm not sure. What color is the Empire State Building lit up? Not too sure. We should be able to find out once we get a little bit closer to 34th, Herald Square. We're actually getting pretty close to Becco's here. Whichever, yeah, I think we'll go over to 5th. I think we're to avoid the crowds. I think we'll go over to 5th and then go down. Just because 8th Avenue can be a little bit sketch a little bit. Warwalker says, how about the Manhattan Bridge? We actually may be doing that tomorrow night. It depends on if I'm in Brooklyn tomorrow. Oh, this is where they do the Book of Mormon. Anybody ever see the Book of Mormon? Now, the only time I have bought tickets wasn't even for me. I've told this story a million times. You guys are probably sick of it, but I got in really big trouble. It's the only time I ever almost got fired in my career. Is purchasing tickets for at the time when it first came out, right? That show Hamilton. Everybody wanted to see it. It was crazy. Everybody wanted to see it. And I was working with this really big client. And he's like, yeah, I really want to see Hamilton. I'm like, dude, no problem. I'll buy it for you. I'll buy tickets for you and the family. And he was like, what? He's like, no way. He's like, don't do that. You don't have to do that. I'm like, no, consider it done. And then when my boss saw the T&E bill, he almost freaking had my head. Anyway, hey, Tyler Phillips, thank you so much for the $10 donation. Says, how are you doing tonight, brother? It's freaking cold here in Wisconsin. Always thank you for the stream. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. We're doing good. It's a little bit cold, but I think since we're walking around, it's not too bad. I mean, the main thing is it's just not windy, right? Whenever it's windy in Manhattan, that's when it gets really cold, but it's not too bad tonight. Not too bad. But thank you again, Tyler Phillips. Appreciate you, my friend. Dusty Cole says, but did the investment pay off? It did pay off. It paid off in a big way. But this was when, I think now you could get tickets to Hamilton for very cheap. But at the time, I think it was like a new thing. It was very trendy. They were upwards of like $1,000 a ticket. It's crazy. This is the Barclays Investment Bank. Now, if you remember back in September, we did our annual Lehman Brothers stream where we recapped the history of Lehman Brothers, how they collapsed. And this is the old Lehman Brothers office, okay, on 745 7th Avenue at Broadway. This is where Lehman Brothers used to be. That sort of kicked off the great financial crisis as they collapsed. Now, chances are, if you've ever watched the documentary about the 2008 financial crisis, you'll see all of the old footage of the investment bankers coming out of these doors right here with cardboard boxes in their hands. And part of the deal is Barclays took over the real estate here. And now Barclays Investment Bank sits here, not too far away from the BNP Paribas, which is the French investment bank that the helicopter actually crash landed on the roof not too long ago, about 5 years ago. Kind of crazy. Yeah, Michael Joseph says people walking out with white boxes. Definitely a crazy pivotal turning point in financial markets for sure. Hey, Gennaro is here from Brazil. Good to see you. Oh yes, everybody, the World Cup is officially starting tomorrow, is that correct? Or did it start today? I think it starts tomorrow. Pixelogic is like $1,000. How big was the client's family? I'm not going to disclose that because the stream's actually getting bigger than I expected. And I think that, yeah, I don't want to let that get out. But yeah, I mean, long story short, I had no idea. I was totally oblivious. I wasn't trying to do anything bad. But Fairway, thank you so much for the $5 donation. You're very kind. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. If anybody wants a good steakhouse recommendation, that is pretty good. It's right here. It's called Del Frisco. I like it. Now, at my old company, when we used to work out of the Marsh McLennan building, right, 1166, oftentimes on corporate outings and events, when we would take clients here, we would go right here to Del Frisco. It's a very good place. Anybody in the chat ever been to Del Frisco's here? The inside is really, really nice too. Very nice establishment. This is hello from Algeria. Love Algeria. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Hopefully you are enjoying New York City. Brian Forrest is here. Says hello. Welcome. I know Natalie's like that bicycle guy, plays this song on repeat. Bagels and walks is no client lunches at Adele's. I would take my clients to Adele's if it had like a sit-down place, but unfortunately, no. If I had to choose between going to Del Frisco's or Adele's, depending on the day, I'd probably actually choose Adele's. And being that Adele's is like a fraction of the price too. This is the best halal spot in New York City by far. And very, very cheap and affordable too. I think it's like $8.50. You get a lot of food, a lot of good halal food. Melissa White says, Tom, you are better than the nightly news, so to speak. I appreciate that, Melissa White. Brad's Brain says $50 to $80 steak. You know, here's maybe a little bit of a hot take, but I really think I could cook a better steak or just as good of a steak at my house with the steaks that I buy from Walmart than going to like a big fancy restaurant. I mean, if you season it right and you put it on a charcoal grill, you can get some good steaks. You know, it's not every day you see a Rolls Royce in Midtown in the winter. Usually we see that stuff in Miami, Florida, where the weather is more accommodative of that type of environment. All right, so we are gonna head down. We'll pass the News Corporation building. Kevin Ramsey says it's late, but I'm about to eat ribeye. Love that. Love that. Dan Zhang says, I agree, Tom. When I first tried Peter Luger's, I thought it was overrated. I think the same thing, man. Now, Peter Luger's is very good. I get it. But for the price, I mean, if you want to, you know, spend some money and go to Whole Foods and you get a really, really nice cut of steak and you season it right and you fire up the charcoal grill at your house, you could probably do just as a good job, if not better, to be honest. All right, so this is the News Corporation building. News Corporation owns the Wall Street Journal, Barron's, and Investors Business Daily. Great. Now, the interesting thing is here, last year, I think some homeless guy burned down the Christmas tree. Does anybody remember that? That was wild. That was either last year or 2 years ago, I forget. All right, I'll try to stand back so you guys can see it. Melissa 2087 is here. It's 28 degrees. Just came back from using my fire pit outside. Love that. Love that, Melissa. Happy Saturday to you. James is here. James is excited for the World Cup, but some of the games are going to be so early in the day. So tomorrow, I think I already asked this. So the official start date of the World Cup is tomorrow, right? Not today? Sonia C says, hey Tom, it's been a while. Good to see you, Sonia. Welcome. Good to have you here as we cross the Diamond District. Now we are about to hit into Bryant Park, which is across the street from Bank of America Tower. Brian Moynihan's company. Yeah, Zozo Bob, it's not lit. I think they're gonna have a lighting or something like that. Scott Ange says, 8 out of 10 for the tree. I think that's appropriate. Now, once they get the tree rocking and rolling down on Wall Street, outside of the New York Stock Exchange, I'm gonna have to take you guys down there because, in my view, the Christmas tree that is outside of the New York Stock Exchange, in my opinion, is better than the one at Rockefeller Center, in my view. Okay, so 46th Street, 100 says, hey Tom, where are we headed? So we are headed to the Hudson Yards, okay, near the Vessel. So as we walk downtown, we are going to pass Bryant Park, so 42nd Street, Bryant Park. We will also pass Herald Square, 34th Street, where the major Macy's building is. And then we will cut over near the Penn Station, Long Island Railroad, Moynihan train station, New Jersey Transit, and then we will arrive at our destination of Hudson Yards. Elliot Weir Review says, Tom, can you work from anywhere in the world, or do you have to physically meet your clients and close deals? So technically, when I'm prospecting, I can, but recently I've been having to be on site at client offices. So as you know, my main book of business entails healthcare. So a lot of the hospitals, home healthcare agencies, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, also on the payer side. So I have a lot of payer provider clients. And as of late, I've been having to be in New York more so than Southern Florida. But hopefully this winter, I will be on more projects in Southern Florida than I am here in New York. And there's actually a lot of home health care agencies that are expanding into Southern Florida specifically, especially after COVID, when a lot of these smaller, less capitalized home health care agencies unfortunately went under. So there was a lot of M&A activity in the space. And also, there's also a lot of retirees in Southern Florida. So it's a good market. But yeah, generally speaking, I have to go on site. But once things are rolled out, then technically I guess I could, work remote some days. Elder, good to see you. Welcome. Now, it's interesting because I think I asked this before, but I think the majority of us here in the chat are on a hybrid work schedule, right? Maybe if you guys want to post in the chat, are you guys working remote? Is it like a hybrid schedule? Because now one of the biggest critiques, here's the One Vanderbilt building, by the way, one of my favorite buildings in New York. Now, one of the biggest critiques that came out of Meta's earnings report is their crazy capital expenditures. Their crazy spending. Now, if you noticed, one of the line items that came out of the earnings report was, I think, over $1 billion to break a lot of their leases. So you're seeing a lot of corporates, a lot of businesses start to downsize here. Because especially if you're a tech company, right? Let's just take in the instance of Twitter. When Elon Musk acquired Twitter, one of the things that he said, he's like, look, nobody's even coming into the office. I think something crazy, they were spending about $4 million a year on lunches, and nobody was even coming into the office. I think it was like 15% capacity. So I think you're going to see corporate real estate, commercial real estate take a hit over the next couple of years because there's going to be a lot of downsizing, right? We covered this with ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil is looking to sell off I think, either part or their entire corporate headquarters in Houston. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of hybrid. Gina Thomas says I am virtual, completely virtual. That's pretty nice. All right, so we are outside the Bank of America Tower, West 43rd Street. We have a very nice view of the Empire State Building from here. Abdullah says, Tom, I'm hybrid. Sonia sees to show the pianos. Okay. So this is the Steinway & Sons building. Very expensive, very beautiful pianos here. Now take a look at the inner workings of the pianos here. Yeah, Michael Joseph is maybe about $80,000 for these grandbaby pianos. You know, when I lived uptown, yeah, everybody's slamming on the horn tonight. When I lived uptown Central Park South, I actually saw somebody, they had to rent a crane, right, or hire a company to lift a piano of this size into their apartment. Now think about how crazy that is for a minute. If you want to get one of these in your apartment, in some cases, if you don't have, what is it called? I guess a freight elevator in your apartment, you got to actually physically get a crane and lift it in there. Gabe, what's up, Gabe? This is hybrid, 2 days remote, love that. 100s is very cold here in Long Island too. That is where I'm from, South Shore, Long Island. Good to see everybody. Elliot Wave Reviews says, Tom, do you operate through an LLC? I don't. There's really no need to. Wow, Ryan Royal says they could be up. Yeah, I mean, I guess for the really, really expensive ones, right? Like the grand pianos could be 100,000 plus. Kind of crazy to think about. All right, quick rating on the Empire State Building view here. I'm gonna go 9-1. I'm gonna go 9-1 only because this building is blocking about, 3/4 of the Empire State Building, but I still think it's a pretty good view. Ladder Daddy 69 says, Tom, what are your thoughts on cryptocurrencies right now, or crypto in general? I think a lot of it's playing out just as expected. Now, I think you all know my opinion on the alternative cryptos, the altcoins. I think the vast majority of that is fraud, or these are just unlicensed and unregistered securities, in which case I would advise to stay away from like the altcoins and things like that. But I think people get confused. I think they confuse Bitcoin with crypto nonsense, right? So in my view, and I really don't like saying these things on the stream because people, when I say something, people will be like, oh, I'm gonna go and buy it, or I'm gonna go and sell it. This stream isn't about that. It's just to have an open dialogue about the financial markets. But usually during these massive liquidation events, like the one we had with FTX, Three Arrows Capital blowing up, these are usually capitulation events. So, could Bitcoin go lower? Yeah, probably. But I think we're closer to a bottom in Bitcoin than not. Hold that thought, everybody. I got to plug in my battery pack. Give me a minute. But we are outside of the Salesforce Tower, ticker symbol CRM. This is Mark Benioff's company. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and hit the subscribe button if you're new. Now, I think the biggest problem as it relates to cryptocurrencies are all of these lending sort of schemes where you will have companies, one of which like BlockFi, which went under, filed for bankruptcy, that is offering and soliciting clients an unrealistic risk-free rate of return upwards of 8%. And I think you need to sort of understand the basics of finance. And if somebody is offering you an 8% risk-free rate of return, that would mean, by definition, that financial institution is therefore making more than 8% on your deposits, which is just not sustainable, right? If you think about all of the major investment banks and banking institutions in the United States and globally, very, very seldom will you see them offering those ridiculous high rates. So if Bank of America, all of the major banks are not offering those crazy rates, well, then it's probably not possible to offer consumers those rates. I don't care if you have some sort of fancy schmancy crypto nonsense algorithm, right? It's a Ponzi scheme. So I would stay away from a lot of that stuff. And we've been seeing a lot of liquidations in that space. And look, leverage kills. In every single sort of credit cycle, the players who blow up are the ones who over leverage. And the problem with the cryptocurrency markets is it is generally, if you compare it to the global bond markets, the global equity markets, it is a very or a relatively illiquid market that is also highly levered. So I would just be a little bit careful there. You know, we might as well go into Bryant Park, Winter Village, since we're here, might as well. Hey, Andy is here, good to see you. Andy's joining us from South Korea. Now, it's getting cold over there in South Korea too, right, Andy? Maybe not as cold as here in New York, but this is the Bryant Park Winter Village, sponsored by Bank of America. We have a beautiful view of the One Vanderbilt building, but I think what outshines One Vanderbilt is the building we see right here. This is the Stephen Schwarzman building. This is the New York Public Library right here on 5th Avenue. It's one of my favorite places in the city, this fountain here at Bryant Park. Really, really nice. Ted Limpkin says I-bonds paid 9.68%. Yeah, but so I-bonds, that's different, right? Because I-bonds, you are limited to about $10,000 worth of exposure per year, right? You have these sort of crypto lending schemes that are guaranteeing an unrealistic rate of return with no minimums, right? So I think there's a bit of a difference. But you are right. I mean, you know, here's something that's interesting, and not to sort of ramble on about the financial markets on a Saturday. I know this is for those of you who don't know, Monday through Friday is when we, analyze the financial markets. We have specific topics of conversation. Saturdays is when we just sort of hang out, but Sundays is our stock market, a look ahead stream. Now, this year, 2022, is the year when the traditional 60-40 portfolio, right? So 60% stocks, 40% bonds has produced the worst returns ever. So here's my prediction. I think what you're going to see come January 1st, you're probably going to see something on the cover of Barron's, the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, saying the 60-40 portfolio is dead. And it's probably going to have some crazy outlandish cover art, right, saying the 60-40 portfolio is dead. And if I had to bet on it, I think that's probably the good time to go long a 60-40, a traditional one, because I mean, bond markets is just being hammered, right? And I think that's why yields are so high. But if I had to bet, I think a 60-40 may perform pretty good next year. Again, don't act on this information. I'm just making an observation. I think that's the Bryant Park Hotel. So this building in the basement actually used to be a community college. And at the time when I was looking to apply for colleges, I really couldn't get into any schools. So I was looking at this college here called the New Community College. I was actually gonna go to it too. Really nice area. But I wound up going to CUNY John Jay. I don't even think it's the same name anymore. I think it's a completely different name. I think it's like the Stella and something Gutman Community College. But yeah, it's right there next to Bryant Park. I wonder when they're gonna light up this tree. Flea Bob's is 37 degrees in New York City, same as Thursday night. It feels a little bit warmer. I think that's because there's no wind, maybe. But good to see you, Flea Bob. Kim Grant is here. Sherry Rodrigo, welcome. 100s is when will we reach Herald Square? Probably 10 to 15 minutes we'll be at Herald Square. Natalie, the Radiator Building. Yes, you're correct. So this is the lodge where they have hot coffee. I think they actually serve alcohol in here too. So we'll make a right. I'll show you guys quickly the Bryant Park Grill. JM's is hopefully not in lease until December. It's not even Thanksgiving. Come on, folks. I know. It seems like the holidays and Christmas in general is being pushed further back and further back. Now, speaking of consumer spending, anybody notice that a lot of the Black Friday deals, or even they've came earlier this year? Anybody notice that? Flea Bob says, did you make the train Thursday night? I did. Golf endeavors. Says Tom, did you ever manage to do the office stream? So here's actually what I'm going to start doing. So here's what I've decided. Really quick, hold that thought. So this is the Bryant Park Grill, but check out the outdoor dining area here. Really, really nice. Beautiful Christmas tree in there. Oh, but look at that rat. You guys see that? He's right there. He's right where they put all the dirty dishes. Yikes. That was a big guy too. So here's what I think I'm gonna do, because I really, really like the new YouTube user interface. Does anybody agree, disagree with me on that? So chances are, if you're on the YouTube application, right? Your YouTube mobile application, it is broken down or segmented into videos, shorts, and then live streams. Now, one of the main reasons why I didn't really want to post the behind the desk sort of content where we just do like market overviews is because I think it would just get mixed and jumbled up with the live streams. But now that it's segmented into each category, I think Monday through Friday, I'm going to start to post 13 to 15 minute market recap and analysis videos. And maybe I'll even do some discounted cash flow tutorial videos for anybody who is interested in learning how to build those different models. But this is the community college I was talking about. So Stella and Charles Gutman Community College. This used to be called the New Community College. Now I went to like an orientation type thing here, and then the school closed down for a bit. But now I guess it has a new owner or a new sponsor, who knows? Edwards says, have you tried the Bryant Park public restroom? It's one of the best in New York City, fancier than the hotels. Yeah, you're right. So the Bryant Park restroom is on the other side of the park, and you're 100% right. I think it's like a $50,000 bathroom. I think it may close at 8 o'clock. Does anybody know the exact time it closes? Tickmex says, hello, Tom. Is the city already decorated? Yeah, so the vast majority of it is already decorated. By Fifth Avenue, Radio City Music Hall. Also Herald Square, which we will be there in a few minutes here. Yeah, so Golf Endeavor, stay tuned for that. I think we'll start that next week. So Monday through Friday, I'll probably post it at 4:30 Eastern, right when the markets close. This way, so you guys could see my desk setup, right? And because one of the things that I noticed, I love doing these live streams. It's awesome. I love talking, with you guys and networking and meeting all types of different people. But I also want to put out a shorter form, probably 15 minutes, where we do deep dives on companies, right? Without the distractions of, cars whipping in and out, random screeching, according to FredEx, right? I think it'll be a little bit more for those that want to get a little bit more granular on like valuations metrics of companies without the distraction. So I think we'll do that. Big Delta guys, his thoughts on Q4 retail. Is the consumer spending this holiday season or hands in pockets? Well, here's what I'll say. I think the consumer is going to spend on a lot of different things, notably travel. And I think I said this before earlier in the stream, but I think we got some data out of the Federal Reserve where U.S. consumer credit card debt hit an all-time record high. But as we look at the earnings of a lot of the investment banks, right? So we went through Q3 and we talked about, Bank of America's earnings. We talked about pretty much all the major credit card issuers, right? JP Morgan. They are seeing balances grow on credit cards, but delinquencies, both short-term, so under about 30-day delinquencies, and long-term, which is about 90 days plus, are still below pre-pandemic trend. So I think you're going to see spending in different categories shift from, I would say, goods to more, travel, spending on airfare, things like that. But I don't know, because we also got some forecasting from a lot of these big tech companies and the semiconductor companies specifically, saying that there is I wouldn't say very low demand, right? I don't think that's genuine to say, because they're going up against very, very difficult comps. But if you look at like an AMD or an NVIDIA, now an AMD, a lot of their chips go into laptops, Chromebooks, and during COVID, you had a ridiculous amount of pull forward on that spend. So I think you're going to see spending on consumer electronics like laptops, TVs, phones decline, and spending on other items, not other items, but travel go up. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I could be wrong. What do you guys think? All right, almost there. 2 more blocks. You know, I think we may want to cross because we're probably going to have better view of the Empire, and plus we'll avoid that pocket by Taco Bell. Not a big fan of that by Taco Bell. Ted says Christmas spending will be fine. People will find the money. Deep Value Alex says, hey Tom, do you ever get to work from home? Yeah, all the time. Yep. But I really don't like working from home. I worked from home all throughout the pandemic and it drove me crazy. It drove me nuts. Now, working from home works for some people, especially if you have kids, right, in a family. You could stay home, play with your kids, hang out. But, I mean, I can't stay cooped up in my apartment. I hate that. Hey, Top G, what's up? Frontier Airlines was selling an unlimited flight pass for $5.99. Wow. So what does that entail? $5.99 for an unlimited flight pass? Unlimited in regards to what? Domestic flights? There must be some limitation on that, no? Yeah, Golf Endeavors has agreed, Tom. It's nice to get to the office. I mean, it's nice to see people, right? You know, one of the best things about working in Manhattan, and maybe this is just me, maybe I'm going to sound crazy, but the best things about working in Manhattan is going on your lunch break, hanging out with all your coworkers in neighboring, you know, restaurants, maybe grab a cup of coffee at the coffee shop. I don't want to just sit home all day and waste my life. Now, again, I tend to be younger, and I think it's good to network, but we'll see. Gina Thomas says, Tom, every time I get mad at your right-leaning, you show that you are level-headed and open to new ideas. I respect that. You're okay, Tom. I appreciate that, Gina Thomas. Thank you so much for the donation and supporting me here. It means a lot. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, over the course, especially since the 2016 election, I think just a lot of the media has been turbocharging, and it's just a lot of this, you know, hyperbolic nonsense. And I'm a very sort of cut and dry person, right? There's a lot of people that if the election doesn't go their way, they solo and they cry and they fight with people on the internet. I'm like, all right, got to move on now. Let's wake up to close some deals. I got to close business. I can't worry about politics. Check this out, guys. So this is 1333 Broadway. And this is why I like it so much. I think this is the money shot of the night. What do you guys think? So right here, 1333 Broadway, you have a beautiful view of the Empire State Building. It's fantastic. Man, that's a really good shot. Now, here's my fear, and I think I told you guys my fear. So, the Duane Reade just went out of business here. And I hope this big building never gets sold, because what I think is going to happen if this building gets sold, there's going to be the classic, you know, mega tall luxury condominiums being built on this property. And then it's going to block this amazing view of the Empire State Building. So hopefully that never happens. Hopefully this older office building stays there forever. And hopefully they own the air rights, because yeah, we definitely don't want that covered up. Juanita Young says, thank you always for the courtesy of taking us along. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Yeah, that's true. MSK says the residents will get the view then. That's right. Edwards like gets Steven Schwartzman to buy it. John Legg says, what time is it in Manhattan right now? That's a good question. Does anybody know what time it is? I can't see the time on the stream. Sabrina Fair, happy Saturday, my friend. This is Tom. I watched the mini documentary about Millionaires Row in New York City. Wish it was still around to see the gorgeous architecture. You know what is so sad? And you may be referring to this. Now, the Steinway building, although it is a very beautiful building, it's called the Stairway to Heaven building right on 57th Street. We always showcase it on the stream, but they had to knock down like this most unbelievable, I forget what it was called, but it almost looked like the inside of the New York Public Library, and they had to totally demolish it in order to build that building. I think there was a similar instance that happened in downtown Brooklyn. There is a major luxury apartment building, I think in one of the banks. Does anybody know, was it the old Apple Bank or something like that? But I think they actually kept the lobby intact. It's definitely a travesty, I agree. So here we are outside of Macy's in Herald Square. These are the very famous Macy's windows. Now, if you could believe it, they're already setting up for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which will be on Thursday. Can't believe Thanksgiving is already, but it is. You know, that pretty much means next week, in my view, again from a salesperson's perspective, there's really going to be no activity happening next week. I think that's fair to say. All of the decision makers are probably taking off, and the next week is just going to be dead, I think. Anyway. I think yeah, all these look good. We saw them yesterday. I think we have to continue to push on to the Hudson Yards if we ever want to make it there. Funny Monkey says Macy's Parade will be the YouTuber gathering of the year. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know if it's usually too early and too crowded to go to Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And also it may be really, really cold too. We'll have to see. All right, let's push on because we still have to get to the Hudson Yards to conclude. Tom, you got to do a stream on the night of SantaCon. Oh, I don't know if I'll have the mental fortitude to do that. Maybe we'll see. When is that? I don't know when SantaCon is. The problem with SantaCon, it's a good time. People have fun, but some people take it too far and, you know, cause menace and like menaces, you know? Hey, Layla, good to see you. Welcome. Oh, we saw this go. So this is the main turkey. So I think this is actually the conclusion of the parade, right? So they blow up all the balloons on the Upper West Side of Manhattan near the Museum of Natural History. So I think 81st Street, Central Park West. And this is where they conclude the parade. So I think they're gonna roll out all of like the carpet. This is gonna be like major grandstands. It's gonna sort of look like bleacher seats. And this is, you know, if you tune into all the major channels, like the news channels, this is where you see all of the major, what is the word I'm looking for? Performances. I was about to say auditions. Hey, SoCal Lawrence, thank you so much for the $5 donations. It's Tom, I was just there. I'm on 38th Street. Oh yeah, that's right, SoCal Lawrence. How you like in New York City, my friend? I'm so glad you finally made it. Hopefully your 4-day vacation is going well. Oh, that's right, the sidewalk is closed on the other side. But SoCal Lawrence, thank you so much. So all of this is going to be like what you see on the floor. That's rolled out. And then this is all going to be bleachers. They're going to build bleachers across the entire thing. And then they're going to take this and sort of roll it out across the way there. Yeah, the city's going to be busy. The city's going to be crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, we got to put a little bit of pep in our step here. SoCal Lawrence, thank you so much. Is loving it. Lower East Side is my favorite so far. Fantastic. You got to check out Koreatown, man. Check out 32nd Street, Koreatown. If you want to go to a really good Korean place, you got to go to Take 31, which is on 31st Street. Koreatown's always a good time. Yeah, Ryan Beck says Koreatown's legit. It's always a good time. Always a lot of energy there. Really, really nice. Okay, we are coming up on... Oh, you know what I'll do? All right, guys, because we're pushing 2 hours here. I want to take you guys into the underworld. We'll see if I could take you into the old Penn Station that is now kind of nice, if you could believe that. So the old Penn Station used to be horrible. I'm talking about really, really horrible, but it's actually pretty nice. So let's see if we can cross the street. Man, a lot of people are upset. We'll see if we can cross the street and go down into the old Penn Station, and I'll show you guys how much they raised the roof, because they actually did a pretty good job. We'll see if we can get down there. Season of Faith Ministries says, love your channel. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Josie, welcome. Says, hey Tom, good to see you, Josie. I think there must be an event going on at MSG, maybe like a concert, because there's a lot of people coming out. No, so it's not Moynihan train hall. So the Moynihan train station is all the way on 8th Avenue, right? But the old Penn Station, where the main Long Island Railroad entrance is, geez, these people, is right here. But I think it may be too crowded to go. And we are approaching the Long Island Railroad, and Long Islanders tend to be a rowdy bunch, so we'll see how that goes. All right. Well, we'll see if the internet holds up. I think you guys are going to like this. Do you guys feel the excitement building? I mean, I feel it all the way from here, and I'm on the outside of the stream. I could feel everybody is glued to their seats. You guys are so excited. All right, so take a mental note of how low the ceilings are as we approach the first part of Penn Station, okay? So this is where you can get the Long Island Railroad, the New Jersey Transit, and the Amtrak. You could also take the 123 AC subway. But you can see as we walk through the initial part here, you're going to see how low the ceilings are and then just how high they raise them. It's a crazy, crazy transformation. So this is how low they used to be. They actually used to be lower. If you see the column, take a mental note of these columns. So the ceiling used to be right here, right? Very low. So, okay, take a mental note. And now look at how high they raised the ceilings. Went out. Oh, is it? Let me know if we're buffering on the internet here, because they did a pretty good job. Oh, it's still lagging. But anyway, it's like sort of like a tiled ceiling, which is really, really nice. So what they did is they actually welded and cut through the steel I-beams here. So this is actually how tall the ceiling used to be, like right there. So right where everybody's walking under was the ceiling height, and they raised the entire thing. We'll see if we could walk further without buffering, but I have a feeling we're gonna buffer quite substantially. Oh, they closed it. So this was where the sort of like the escalators riding up, but I think they're doing some maintenance on it. But this is where I go home, right here. Let's see how far into the train station we could get. But if we go out, everybody, if you enjoyed the live stream so far, feel free to hit the like button on the video and also hit the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams about 5 days per week between New York City and Miami, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. Yeah, but they did an incredible job. I mean, it's just a day and night difference. All right, so let's cross into, I think the internet probably went out, but we'll see if we can make it all the way to the Moynihan train station. Okay, we made it to the Moynihan train station, and I think we will end it here, my friends. And it looks like I made it right on time for my train. All right, team, I'll cut you guys loose. We're gonna end it here. Thank you for joining tonight. We will be live tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, live from New York City, as we do our stock market, a look ahead live stream. It's gonna be a busy, action-packed week on Wall Street, but a shortened week because of the Thanksgiving holidays. So Dan Russell, appreciate you, my friend. Amol, thank you so much. Cayenne Pacific. MSK Vlogs, appreciate it. Gary Carpenter, Golf Endeavor. Destructionist, if you guys enjoyed the stream, hit the like on the video and subscribe if you are new. Into the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there is always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Have a fantastic Sunday. Be safe, everybody. Get some rest.